TOONSQUID is like After Effects but for the iPad, and these 100 tips and tricks will assist you in creating awesome animations. You may be familiar with a few of these or be a complete TOONSQUID noob. I'm sure you'll find something of value. Draw a brush stroke and hold your Apple Pencil or finger at the end of the stroke to get a straight line or any shape. Tap your finger one more time to get a perfect circle or square. This works for brush, eraser, and smudge tools. The brush tool allows you to create hand-drawn artwork. You can choose between the different brush types and even tap on the brush to edit, rename, duplicate the brushes. You can change your brush size and opacity or strength by using these two sliders at the top. A preview of the new size or strength is shown while you drag the slider. Tap with 2 fingers on the screen to undo anything. Tap with 3 fingers to redo. If you want to fill in the created shapes, use the fill tool and tap inside the shape. Go to Properties icon on the left to control opacity. You can pinch the screen with 2 fingers to zoom in and out and also rotate the canvas. Split screen view is not supported on TOONSQUID, but you can have a Photos app as a floating window and import the photo of your choice. You can even go to Library, tap on plus, import from Photos. And even with this plus sign at the bottom, you'll see that there are a couple of ways of doing everything here. Use the pipette tool to pick up colors on your canvas by tapping on this icon. You can even put a finger on your screen to bring up this tool. In case it's not turned on, go to Actions, Settings, Gestures, and turn on long press for pipette with finger. To create a color palette from a photo, tap on Color, Palettes, and plus to create a new palette. You can use the Path tool to create vector shapes. Tap on it one more time to reveal shapes. This is a control point, and by tapping on it you can choose how you want the Bezier control handles to behave at that point. Corner, symmetric, asymmetric, and so on. If this magnet option is enabled, control points and Bezier handles will snap to other control points. To see all your layers, drag the timeline up or down. If you want to have more space for drawing, you can expand and collapse the timeline with this arrow. The plus sign here lets you add a couple of different things into your timeline. This layer is called an animation layer. They are all the layers you see visible in the timeline. Drawing layers are the ones you see on the right. Tap on the layer icon to see the contents of your animation layer. You can also add a new drawing layer like this. Use this diamond icon to keyframe your content. This is one of the most powerful TOONSQUID features. By default, keyframes are automatically added if you have the keyframing mode enabled. So make sure that you don't leave this mode on. You can tap on Position and use the Transform tool to move the object around to set a position keyframe automatically. For rotation, drag the handle to rotate the layer multiple times to values beyond 360 and minus 360. To scale, pull any of these points in or out. To adjust opacity, go to Properties, and as soon as you move the slider even slightly, a keyframe will be set. These other options are for vector objects. If you want rounded corners, you can go to Properties and adjust the slider for corner radius here. Even if you have any other option selected, but you rotate, scale, and change the position, those keyframes will automatically appear in their respective area. To change fill color, similarly go to Properties and tap on the color icon beside fill. Here we don't have a stroke, but if you like to try a specific color, tap on this no color circle to see it. Go to stroke width below to see how thin or thick you want it. Remember, these are keyframes, so it will be animated for that particular frame. The trim property can be used to only show a certain portion of the entire path. To animate this with keyframes, use these options to let the path grow or shrink over time. Start trim trims the beginning of the path. End trim trims the end of the path. Cap style. If you want to change the shape of these two open ends of the stroke, choose from these options. Similarly, you can change the join style, that is the shape of the connection of two curved segments, with this next option as well. DM your queries on Instagram and follow GlitterbugJo there to see more tutorials and animations. Closing a property does not delete keyframes. To delete, tap on the keyframe and one more time. You can choose select multiple to delete all keyframes or just delete for a single keyframe. If you want to bring back hidden keyframes, you can either tap on the layer and choose Show All Properties or tap on any visible property and choose Show All Properties. To move a single keyframe, tap on it and slide it to the place you want. To animate text, go to the Text tool and tap on the canvas. You will see a small text box appear. Type in whatever you want. In Properties, under Font, choose a typeface from the given default options or import font of your choice. Go back to change the style, font size, color, stroke color, and more. You can even add a start or end trim to give the typewriter effect. If you want to mask a layer below, tap on plus to add a layer and design it the way you want. Then tap on that layer and choose Toggle Mask. You can even animate that pattern moving across the text with keyframes like this. You can check this full tutorial for more. The audio option lets you record audio or import from files. Video lets you import your video from files to animate over it. To import image sequence, choose Folder and select all. This way you can open projects you have been working on in other software. Drag the retiming handles on left and right edge of the selected drawing to change the first and last frame. If the magnetic timeline mode is enabled, drawings without a gap between them will continue to stick together. Layers in the timeline can also be manually placed in hierarchy like parent and child. That is, if the parent moves, the child moves along with it, as shown in this example. Drag layers from the list on the left to the right to create the hierarchy. These arrow keys help you move to the next and previous frames. This icon means onion skin and it lets you see the drawings of frames before and after the current frame. Especially helpful with drawing in-betweens in a traditional animation workflow. Hold down the onion skin button to see more configuration options, whether you want it linked, what colors, how light or dark, and more. This is the transform tool and you can tap anywhere on the screen to choose different elements. The pivot is automatically placed in the center of your layers by default, but you can also change its position manually by tapping on your selection, enable pivot, and move it around. If this magnet option is enabled, you will see guidelines whenever you move the contents around. Using this option, you can scale your selection uniformly. Freeform moves the horizontal and vertical scale of layer, and you can use perspective to apply a perspective distortion to the layer. Warp mode is used to warp and reshape the layer's surface. This even allows you to fold parts of the layer over itself. If the current scene contains any effects, you can use the effects button to view your animation with or without effects in the editor. Tap on this loop and hold to input keyframe numbers of the sections you want to loop. You can choose this option to flip the selected content horizontally or vertically. Whereas this option, flip canvas X and Y in actions, flips the entire canvas horizontally or vertically. If you want to switch between light and dark interface, go to Actions, Settings, Appearance, Dark and Light. Drawing with your left hand, don't worry. Just below that, choose left-handed. By default, an alert will pop up on screen to give you the option to quickly create a backup of that project with a single button tap. You can also go to Action, Settings, Backup to change the interval of this reminder or to create a new backup immediately. Your project is also saved each time you go back to the project library or close the app. To choose colors, tap on the color button and choose the classic wheel, values, pick or palette option. If you draw any vector shape, you can choose solid, linear or radial gradient like this. If you have multiple layers in drawing layers, tap on the layer you want to merge and select merge down. The same can be done in animation layers, but remember all your content will be merged. Hide unhide a layer by tapping on this eye icon. If you are craving more of TOONSQUID, then you might want to join Patreon for free, where you can find a whole lot of creative stuff and a bunch of other tutorials. If you don't want any UI coming in the way of your drawing, tap on full screen mode here. Select multiple layers by swiping like this. To group layers, first create a group and then add the layers. But if you already have content on layers, you will have to manually put them in like this. It helps to plan ahead of time what layers will be grouped. Duplicate layers by swiping and tap duplicate. Lock a layer to keep it safe. It will show up as a warning if you try to delete the contents. Always rename your layers to avoid confusion. You can just tap on it, rename, and scribble in something. If you want entire animations repeating like this, create symbols. On a new layer, add a drawing or vector shape. I will animate the start and end trim. Tap on that layer and select Create Symbol. Now go to Library and tap on it. It appears on the canvas. Change its position, and now these animation clips can be inserted anywhere in your project. If you want to offset timing, in Properties, swipe up to see time, and now you can use the slider to give it an organic look. You can change the color by going to Properties, Effects, Adjustments, and adjusting the hue, saturation, brightness to your liking. You can delete any effect by swiping, using the bin option or tapping on the effect. Scenes are used to organize your animations in a TOONSQUID project. Each project is made up of one or more scenes. Each scene has a timeline in which you can create your animation. The first scene of a project is created automatically when the project is created. Most of the times, you will just need one. Tap on 24 FPS to bring up a slider to choose a different frame rate between 1 and 60 frames per second. You can use the library option to organize projects, assets such as animation clips, audio and video clips, and brush textures. You can find a list of more resources for design and animation on Gumroad linked in the description. To export a project, go to Actions, Export, and choose the format of your choice. This option Focus brings the layer contents of the current frame into view on the canvas. To make a character rig, make sure all the character paths are in a group in the drawing layers. Tap on the group, go to Properties, Effects, under Rigging, choose Bones. Tap on this icon to add bones, and tap on the next icon to move the bones. To keyframe bone position, select the character layer in the timeline and move the character limbs at the frames you want it to perform a particular action. Subscribe to this channel for more tutorials to learn how to use all of these features in TOONSQUID to create awesome animations. To use inverse kinematics, add a new bone at the foot and rename it. Reduce its strength to 0. Tap the lower leg bone, and in Properties, tap on IK Target, and then select our IK Target bone from the list. Now move the IK Target bone and the leg will follow along. If you want to highlight and add comments to different frames of your animation, as done in lip sync, use markers. Watch this tutorial for all the steps. If you open an animation clip in the editor, you can navigate back to the previously edited clip or scene via the breadcrumbs button in the top left corner of the canvas. To blur the contents of a layer using Gaussian blur effect, go to Effects, Filters, Gaussian blur. Use the Adjustments option to adjust the hue, saturation, brightness, and contrast of a layer. Pixelate option pixelates the contents of a layer. You can draw a shape and see how it appears. Chroma key lets you remove a specific color from a layer for a green screen effect. Sharpness and halftone look like this. Use perspective to apply an animatable perspective distortion to a layer. The warp tool gives an animatable warp distortion to a layer. Create a custom mesh for a layer and animate it using bones or by hand, especially useful for animating hair. Noise combines a noise signal with the property of a layer. The drop shadow effect adds a shadow behind the contents of its layer. Use the spin option if you want to spin a layer around its center and control its speed. If a drawing is selected, this button will increase the length of that drawing by 1 frame. Use this button to duplicate the contents of the selected drawing into a new drawing. Add drawing lets you add a drawing in your timeline, but you might not need to use this button very often since drawings are automatically added whenever you draw or otherwise add content. To orient an object along motion paths, select Object Layer, Transform, Properties, Effects, Orient along motion path. Tap on Keyframe icon, move the object to the starting point. Now move your playhead near 1 second and move your object to a different position. Keep doing this until you see a path forming. You will see that the arrow orients itself. Now delete the effect to see what it would look like otherwise. The 2.0 release makes Parallax so simple. I drew all PNGs in Procreate and imported into TOONSQUID like this. I scaled them and applied a parallax effect to each individual layer. Play around with the depth. I kept the tree layer depth very low and the depth of mountain significantly higher. Move the camera and zoom in and out to see the effect. Cool, now keyframe the camera position. This is how it looks zoomed out, and this is the actual footage. Since the parallax effect requires a camera, a new camera layer is automatically added to the scene. There's a full tutorial on this one. I even add a Gaussian blur to the trees close by. Order of effects is very important and most of them are applied to the layer from top to the bottom, which means the effect at the top is applied first and the bottom last. But that's mostly for rigging and bones. You can change the blend mode on any animation or drawing layer by going to Properties, tap on Normal and choose from the following. To change background color, select background layer, open properties and choose the color of your choice. You can either make it an infinite background or include in symbols. The background color can be animated using keyframes. Tap on keyframe, swipe up to see the hidden color option below. Place the playhead at any other frame and change color from properties. Need to speed up your workflow? Then use keyboard shortcuts by going to Actions, Settings, Keyboard. Quick note, Photoshop brushes work in TOONSQUID, but you might get a different effect because of different brush engines. Final tip, go to Actions, Help, and then tap Handbook. It has all the information you need that hasn't been covered in these 100 tips.